develop the same pick and ban strategy as you go.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process, isn't it? It continues to evolve as opposed to maybe starting fresh every single time. So, gentlemen, we are into picks and bans now between Origen and Schalke. There's no real surprises here. Nidalee, Vladimir, Jhin maybe being taken off the table towards Toaster, already drawing a ban on his first game on stage. Do you think that's justified, Yamato?
I think Jhin ban means that Schalke don't play Sivir at all, because I think if Sivir is in the mix, Jhin is not as high value, because Sivir deals very, very well with the champion. And also it's very surprising that OG still banned Vladimir, because I don't think Vladimir is a threat anymore after the nerfs.
Wow, is it that strong, that clear, Joey?
Also, don't forget that they banned Nidalee on blue side, which is pretty much unheard of. But yeah, Vladimir is a champion that after the nerfs, a lot of champions can deal with him. Azir, Viktor, Ryze. There's a lot of champions right now, so I don't think it's really necessary for a ban, but maybe they have a specific team comp in mind with a lot of tank champions that may be countered by Vladimir.
Yeah, we'll have to find out, as Gragas is the final ban from Origen, so a more non-traditional ban, maybe. But we, as casters, we always like to say if you're blue side, you can target ban more freely, and red side is the more sort of forced meta bans. Is that something, is that an opinion that's shared by the teams?
I think the Gragas ban means they're going to first pick Rek'Sai. What do you think, Yamato?
I feel like the Gragas ban makes very, very little sense, because Elise is still in the mix. I think Elise is one of the most banned champions against Schalke. When we played against Schalke, we banned Elise as well, and removing Elise Nidalee from Gilius means that he has a very, very small champion pool. I think, even though with that in mind, I think he has recognized by this time, and I think he's just going to pick the Rek'Sai, as you just said.
He didn't. He picked the Azir, but that also makes sense because Gragas is probably the only jungler that is really strong against Azir, so that does make a bit of sense.
All right, so let's take a look then. How does Gilius respond? I think nobody will be surprised if Elise gets locked in. How quickly do you have to pivot? Because now, if you're expecting a first pick based on a ban strategy, you've only got 1 minute to talk with your team. Do a lot of these scenarios get practiced and rehearsed off stage, Joey?
Yes, definitely. We talk a lot about many different scenarios, so I think Schalke has done the same, but when you go into a draft, you usually know what you're going to first rotate, regardless of what the enemy picks, because there's a lot of power picks open, so they still have a bit of time to start building their team comp.
I think the way usually I do it is you kind of make a tier list for yourself, and if something is removed, you kind of move down the tier list in your first rotation. Like the first rotation usually dictates the entire draft because it's just so important, and I think most teams do the same thing.
All right, so Schalke, Trundle, Elise, we'll see what this dictates for the rest of the draft. In terms of the tier list and in terms of the teams on stage now, what would you expect to see going forward, Yamato?
I feel like Schalke, I think it's very good to flex the Trundle because they can just pick a mid laner into Azir. I think they have an opportunity to also pick Varus, but this initial rotation, I think with Jhin out and a lot of AD carries in the mix, I think Sivir is a great blind pick, but I don't think they should pick Braum. I think they should pick the jungle pick right here and hide Braum, because Trundle has a very good lane matchup into bottom against this Sivir Braum. It's just absolutely awful, in my opinion.
All right, awful draft. If Schalke decide to do that, right?
Yeah.
If they opt into flexing and giving Steve another champion in the top lane, one of the other things I'd love to get a coach's opinion on, how much does the player behind the champion have an impact now that you're in the picking phase? You know, you look at Fox and you go, well, we've blind picked for PowerOfEvil, who struggled this split, into Fox, who's been a hard carry. Is that a big concern, Young Buck?
Players do usually have a lot of say, even on stage. It's just the final responsibility of the coach to say lock it in. But I don't think anyone is going to play anything they haven't practiced, so there's nothing crazy going to happen this game or pretty much any LCS game.
I think with Fox specifically, his champion pool has not been impressive. I think it's very, very similar to PowerOfEvil's champion pool. There's been a lot of Azir, Viktor, some Ryze in there, and I think that's not going to change.
It hasn't changed yet. The most meta standard comp at the moment, I feel, on the side of Schalke. Maybe the Lucian you can debate just a little bit. He's fallen off in popularity, but it just feels like a team can do a little bit of everything. They've got some split push if Trundle goes top. They've got good picks, decent team fights. How would they round this comp out?
I feel like OG, they kind of put themselves in a really bad situation because they picked themselves into a matchup where Trundle can dominate easily as a support. And also with that in mind, if they blind pick any top laner right now, they can counter with Aurelia. There's a lot of counters that can come to mind. And I think regardless, they're going to be put in two very, very weak matchups on the side lanes. And I think Schalke are going to be very, very happy with that.
Is this another 1-4 comp from Origen, Young Buck?
It is. The first pick, Azir, already signaled it. It's the 1-4 coming. And I do think that Yamato is right. The Trundle pick And then having an answer with Braum Sivir is really bad because Trundle is good against both of those champions, so not only at that moment can it already go support freely, but it still oppresses a lot of picks in the blue side for top lane. So we probably won't see Irelia, and if they do pick Shen, then the Trundle can even go top lane, but I do expect maybe something like Gangplank here, if blue side locks in Shen.
It's like coaching Steve in the past, he played a lot of Gangplank, and I think Gangplank is a great pick against Sivir as well. Kind of denies the disengage. They can just play the split push game and just play out their lane phase, because right now they have very, very strong lanes, and I think OG are going to look for a lane swap, otherwise they're going to be in a very bad position.
Okay, we'll see whether or not they find that lane swap. Everybody at home is screaming that Sivir and Olaf and Azir, they all synergize so well. Is that not something that Schalke need to be a little concerned of? They're hovering a support pick for now, but we would anticipate there to be a top lane swap in the last second. Do you think that could happen? 3 seconds?
Like, I'm not a big fan of this. I'm a bigger fan of that, though. Like, Gnar and Shen, I think they should have picked something that is good into that matchup, because Trundle, like, I'm pretty sure Sivir and Braum are going to have a really bad time. Trundle is just so dominating against this bot lane matchup, and having 3 kind of decent matchups coming into the game with a strong jungler, it signals that they don't want lanes. I think OG don't want lanes, and they just want to kind of delay the game as much as possible.
If all champions get played the way they should for both teams, are you guys both in agreement that Schalke should have the advantage in the early and mid game?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think it's a question of do OG get the lane swap or not, but otherwise Schalke, stronger bot lane, even in mid, stronger jungler, and also stronger in top side.
All right, so very, very convincing here from both of the coaches on the couch. Let's just talk very quickly about that lane swap. Is there any way that you can set that up, Yamato?
Well, with Braum, you can always invade and kind of force a swap. Everything in level 1 becomes a kind of a mind game, but I think something you can do definitely with Braum and Olaf is just charge in and, of course, invade. Charge
in and invade. We'll find out the teams can. I will be back with Youngblood and Yamato later in the day. For now, over to Pyro and Stress.
All right, if you think Origen are going to take this one out with their composition, hashtag OG win is what you want to be tweeting at LOL Esports is the place. Or if you think Schalke 04, we'll come back from their 04 week. Hashtag S04 win. We're getting a game. We're about to find out. It's Origen. It's Schalke. And we'll see who takes the win today.
Well, Yamato and Youngbuck both in agreement with regards to the draft coming out in favor of Schalke. We are on to the Rift. And we'll see. It didn't take too long to load in, even though somebody's got a toaster, because Origen right now are utilizing their new AD carry. We'll see whether it's a big departure from previous weeks, because Peke was very good on a map sense, but Toaster is known more for his micro.
Yeah, and they're pretty excited about him as well. The Origen crowd is always a lively bunch. Schalke will have to fight. The home field advantage seems to be Origen's as they go for the invasion. Steve, he shows his face, and he gets taunted up right now. This is going to be first blood, and they give it, or try to, as Amazing picks it up.
Amazing just having to pick it up as Steve was about to get himself out, but Origen, first blood from the new revamped lineup. Conclusive, it's better, Pyra.
It's already starting out well. All right, well, that's good. We'll have to see how the rest of the game goes on, that's for sure. So with the packs, obviously fishing for that lane swap, the deep invade, the wards come out, but they do grab themselves a little bit of extra gold to start things off. And Amazing, we got to talk about this guy, because as rough as some of their early games have been, Amazing has really been the bright spot. He's been picking up kills left and right in the pre-15 minutes. In fact, he gets a majority of his kills pre-15 minutes, which is saying something when you've got a team that's going 80-plus minute games.
Yeah, that is saying a lot, and we're going to see the lane swap come out. So the coaches on the analyst area were talking about this as our little couch area maybe is turned into the coaching couch for this week's games. So Origen lane swap neutralizes a lot of these advantageous lanes that Schalke had. You know, we talked about how Schalke had a stronger bottom lane, strong top lane, strong jungler. None of that really matters so much right now in the push, and we're going to have to see how Toaster can settle himself into the lane swap dynamic that has evolved here in the European LCS. So it's nearly time, Pyra. It's nearly time for Voltron Cam.
All right, the fast push is definitely going to be coming out. Origen do seem to be a little bit more, well, I was going to say quick to it, but then, you know, Schalke kind of collapsed right about the same as well. So it looks like we're in for the standardization. PowerOfEvil on this Azir pick. It was denied in our last series, but there's Voltron Cam. And you can see that it is pretty much just on point right here, with Schalke actually doing a little bit more early on. The Lucian double tap is really making up the difference.
Yeah, of course, Siv is also there to push through the minions behind the turret. You can see it in action. I think the most curious thing about this draft is that they're not really leaving Toaster too much time to settle into his role when you look at things overall, because Toaster's known to be a much more mechanical player, a little bit more on the likes of Vayne we've seen from him in the UK, known for his jinx a little bit as well.
A little out of the meta, but...
Out of the meta, as you said, but this time they're giving him fairly large decision-making when it comes to utilizing that ultimate, unless somebody's going to pretty much call it for him. Towers die at vaguely the same time, but there was a heal used by Toaster.
I wonder who called that one.
Yeah, who called the heal at that point? Looked like it was to save Toaster and Amazing, perhaps, at that point.
Taking a bit too much damage. Well, they still ended up evening out, and if they don't have to worry about it until the cooldown comes back up, if they reverse swap, it's not going to be very consequential. Nonetheless, a bit of a mistake there. PowerOfEvil takes a bit of damage from this Viktor. This mid lane should be fairly safe, I think, for both, with the exception of getting poked a little bit hard. They've got biscuits to nom. They've got damage to deal, but I don't see, with a player of Fox and Power's caliber, really getting evened out on a 1-to-1. But there's no mana left for Fox. He's got to be careful dealing with PoE.
Yeah, that is certainly the case.
Oh,
Soaz.
He stopped Soaz.
There's no further damage coming through. MrRallez isn't really on board with this plan, so it's just going to be a few little hits, and they're going to back themselves away. No need for Soaz to pull a Soaz TP out this time. He's
it's harder to do with the nerf.
Yeah,
so that's got to be hitting him a little hard, but
yeah, direct nerf to Soaz.
That was right in the patch notes, actually, if you guys actually read them.
I don't read them. I just guess what happens.
I guess it makes the game more interesting, doesn't it?
It does.
All right, so we get the reverse swap. There's the TPs we're looking for. As MrRallez and Sprattel had already started on this top side, they'll be bringing Steve to the party to help clear the waves, and we get it pushed back. Ocean Drake is the first this game. A little bit less exciting than its cousins Mountain and Infernal that we've gotten thus far. However, still regen coming in handy, especially if you're able to stack that one up. Gilius coming into the mid lane here, but he's pushed back by Power. Look at the soldier damage.
Whew, a lot of damage coming out, and I find it kind of curious that Gilius was allowed his Elise, because it's been one of his more successful picks overall. For Schalke, whenever he's been on Elise, he's got a 50% win rate, but he's played 8 games of it, and generally is better at controlling the early game.
That's true, and Origen as well have not done quite so well against Elise. They're 2-6 when they've had to play against it, and somebody like Gilius, who's known for going into the enemy jungle, getting the counter on, and providing a lot of pressure in lanes, it can be very rough for Origen to contend with. However, they've infused their early game with some gold. Origen will also manage to pick up this first dragon, not contested here by Schalke. As they're moving across the maps, the deep vision also denying an attempt to get a fight on, but Schalke not even interested in it. So just shy of the 6-minute mark, Origen do pick up Ocean Drake.
Yeah, and again, this is one of these games that kind of shows you that despite teams being further down in the standings, generally phases 1 and the first part of the second phase of a lane swap is just unanimous throughout all teams here in Europe. Very rarely do you see mistakes when it comes to the tower push. Generally, teams have got that right. After that tends to be where they start making mistakes on lane assignments and different kind of plays where we look at like teams looking to dive or set up ganks. So we're going to have to watch how this game continues now that we are past that second phase.
Well, we might end up getting a 2v2. Eventually, MrRallez will be leading the line down along with Sprattel. I'm really curious to see how Toaster handles. He's definitely no stranger to stage experience. Been around the UK scene for quite some time. Played a number of tournaments there. But the LCS is a different animal.
Yes, it absolutely is, and I can tell you exactly one of the factors that is different, and that generally is just map play in general. When you look at Challenger and then the regional leagues like the UK Premiership, a lot of the issues that the teams have are to do with how to make coordinated plays on the map, vision control, early game aggression when it comes to like lane swaps and how you follow them up. So I'm interested now with only like maybe a week's play barely under Toaster's belt here. Of course, our last day of play was Saturday. I wonder how much he's picked up from Origen and their kind of playbooks and how they like to play up on this level, because it's not easy just joining a team, even as an AD carry, just coming in and being like, oh, well, now I know how we make every play. And you can see Schalke looking for another push onto the tower now. And Toaster's on the bottom side on his own, just absorbing farm. Origen managed to deny the push, though. That kind of allows Toaster to regroup some of the CS he was down.
Yeah, it'll definitely help him out to get a little bit more relevant. Of course, his job as Sivir is a little bit more simple. But as you mentioned, teams closer to the bottom of the table, this is what we're starting to look at with Schalke's week. They were clinging on to 6th place. They've actually been upended with the Unicorns result earlier today, and they'll need a 2-0 to retain what appears to be a playoff pole position. Origen are just fighting to get out of relegation zone, but so far, they're looking a little bit better than what we have seen, but we have plenty of league to play as we're only 8 minutes into this game. The blue buff is getting taken away. Sprattel is wise to it, but I don't know if Gilius will get there in time. It's smited, and Amazing is going to be able to run away.
Yep, gets himself out, no trouble from that scenario. So it's a little bit more of a hands-off game. We are even in the start of this one. Steve did have himself a fairly large CS disparity, but Soaz has been able to soak some of that up over in the top side of the map and keep himself up in the game. So we'll see when Steve manages to get back for this 1 versus 1 Gnar into Shen, if he can put the punishment down onto Soaz and hold him up in that top lane. Red buff going over, I guess Gilius is likely to take that. I wonder whether they'll end up giving it to Steve just to punish the 1v1, but I don't think so. No, okay. Gilius takes it.
Yeah, and Gilius is going to need it with the counter jungle effort that's been going on. He is out farming Amazing, but there's the gold difference that's being made up by the first kill. And it is cool to see both these two junglers kind of giving their all to move around the map and try to deny each other early, because they are just so focused on the early game. Even though the lanes are long, Gilius still likes to get in there and mix things up, and Amazing has been, Origen's early game ticket. Looks like with an exploding Spiderling, they will stop the Rift Herald. He went real far out of home.
Origen aren't even looking to particularly commit to too much in any of these plays. They've shoved a large wave in top, but unless they stack there with almost everybody, it's going to be tough to hold on to it. They will have the Shen ultimate available if Shen wants to try and defend bottom side. TP was used to get into that turret.
Yeah, this is a little bit weird. Origen have left a lot of holes here, and MrRallez has been able to... Oh, nice dodge! That is a taunt
Gilius
down.
going mid.
Gilius finds PowerOfEvil. Chaos Storm's on. He's going to try and shove his way away. Chaos Storm following. Fox is gonna laser, and that's gonna be enough for the kill. Second win by Fox.
Schalke able to kind of make a play in the middle of the map. They defend Origen pushing top lane. They got the TP from Soaz in the bottom lane, and Origen just not really reacting in the right places because Soaz didn't use the Stand United on PowerOfEvil, and there was a full second maybe that PowerOfEvil had that Chaos Storm on him. The laser was about to come through. As soon as Fox flashes the wall, why is there no communication that Power needs that ultimate to come out? Soaz had already used his TP down to the bottom side. I want to see just how big this timing window was, because Gilius comes into mid and there is no support despite Shen having Stand United. He was close enough, perhaps, like here it could have come out. And Power would have been fine from the aftershock. Toaster had already backed himself away. I wonder whether there was something else that Soaz was worried about at that time. Was he looking top lane, perhaps? Really would be interested to know why that didn't come out.
It seemed like a panic moment all around. Power, you could see he actually burned heal really before he'd taken a full channel of damage as well. So, and the speed wasn't helping him out because he was still caught by the cocoon. Unfortunate for the mid laner of Origen right now. The gold lead back in Schalke's favor by 1,000. 1-to-1 on kills right now. The next dragon's coming up soon, but I don't think they'll be in a rush to fight over it. It's Cloud.
Yeah, no rush on this one. Origen back up to the top lane with Toasty. He's been sat up there, but he's still not getting as much farm as MrRallez. MrRallez is still up ahead in this matchup, has been sat out on his own, so hasn't really had to share any of the economy, but then neither has Steve. Steve's up on Soaz, and Soaz should have just collected a whole wave in the bottom side there, so Origen not really distributing their farm particularly effectively. Soaz comes in to help Power, but now he's running up to the top side. This gives bottom turret. They actually just sacrificed bot turret for the trade here, which is fine. They will get top side in exchange, but Soaz doesn't need to be running top here.
And they've even pinged him. They know this is happening, so the tower goes down again. It's 3-3. This game is going a little bizarre. If you're Aranea, you've got to talk to this team no matter what the result afterwards.
There's now minions dying to bot inhib tower that could be being absorbed here, because Origen are never going to push for this inhib tower on the top side. A wave and a half, maybe, is just dying for almost nothing.
Yeah.
And now Schalke are getting the dragon as well.
Yeah,
Very
so they'll
strange.
have a little bit more mobility. Yeah, Origen have opened up a lot that Schalke have been able to take advantage of. So very long lane down on the bottom side. Hybrid and Amazing were there finally to get it. Dragon smited down by Gilius, so they get the Cloud Drake for themselves. Very, very strange behavior here. Amazing is going to be able to clear out some wards, but this is not looking like it's going to be the best of mid games for Origen.
No, I mean, we spoke. The coaches spoke about how Schalke have this stronger early setup, but it's also good as you get into team fights. You've got yourselves a Viktor, a Lucian, Gnar as well, if they can get that crowd control out.
This is just so troubling for Origen. Yes, they've got a little bit of time to work with Toaster now, but like you need to be able to beat teams like Schalke who are sitting in the middle of the table because they've still got Giants, they've still got Fnatic, they've got Splice and H2K before the split is done. This is where they really need to start getting points and trying to peel themselves out of relegation.
It is, and the way that they're going to get points from this game is by picking Schalke apart before that Schalke can group. Utilizing the Sivir ultimate, the Azir ultimate, getting Olaf into a fight and taking somebody out first and making sure Schalke can never really group in response is going to be what Origen need to do. Fairly tough to do, but with the Shen, the Sivir, the Olaf all together, maybe there is a chance that they can get in there, get some fights started before Schalke can respond.
Well, for now, Schalke are pushing their way into Origen territory. Mid tower is still standing, but we have seen those side lanes be all about the push. Big CS advantage, though, for Steve over Soaz. Even though he held on to his ultimate when PowerOfEvil was under fire there in the mid, it's just been a massive difference in effort. You can see 20 CS difference still far. The Black Cleaver versus the Sunfire Cape. We all know how that might go.
And just about half a level's experience difference between the two as well. So looking at it, it's because Soaz spent a long time topside. So after he ran up there, he cancelled his recall 2 or 3 times and wasn't absorbing farm or experience during it because he was trying to hover around, I believe, just to kind of be close to PowerOfEvil or Toaster and just kind of hover there, which isn't exactly the most efficient use of time, but Soaz didn't get punished for it yet, although that CS lead does stand. Now Gilius is going to come across, but it's not quite fast enough.
No. Gilius has been pretty mobile around the map, but you can see the early game plays have been kind of limited due to the fast push and the relative safety that the players have been playing at. A little bit more for Gilius as he was able to get down PowerOfEvil earlier. But this is also really troubling for Origen because Amazing, he makes a lot of those big plays in the early game. With the long lanes, it's a lot harder to do. They're going to start grouping up, trying for the siege now, but they are working still with this deficit. And they may have an Ocean Drake, so they can take maybe a bit more longer sustained fights if they can tag people in and out. But Schalke are not really giving them an opportunity to do anything on this map.
No, there's not really too much that Origen feel confident and comfortable enough to do. Origen are never going to push past the river unless they're 3v1 like this.
Here we go. Steve knows this is coming.
Great escape.
He's got a flash. He does get tagged. He goes unbreakable. He's not getting away from this one, Steve. His Narbar not anywhere near far enough. And Amazing snags another kill.
Yeah, when it's 3 versus 1, Origen will feel confident enough to make a play like that, but it's so reliant on them grouping. It's a good play. They're able to get up, kill Steve, take a little bit of the heat off Soaz, turn it now into a Rift Herald for Soaz, and that gives him a little bit more confidence out on that side lane and the ability to maybe play slightly more aggressive.
Yeah, getting the Rift Herald is going to be very crucial too for Soaz to push around the side, but Gilius is not keen to give this one away for free. Not sure if he can get in and change it, and it will end up being Soaz's buff.
Yeah, 20 minutes on the clock, but Schalke will respond with an attempt towards mid lane.
Already have health.
Yeah,
Power's there with
Power's
soldiers,
here.
though.
It is enough to deter. Schalke were just trying to make a sneaky little play, but not to be for them right now. So, I mean, Steve, I think even if he flashed the Winter Spite, even if it dodged that, I think he was still dead there.
Yeah, he'd already used Hop. I mean, there's really no getting out of that, and I think kudos to Steve for kind of knowing that and not panic blowing the flash, but it's still hard when you have these long lanes to really get out of harm's way.
It would have been more difficult chase if he hadn't got caught by it. Maybe there was the possibility he would have had the E cooldown come up a little faster, get the slow with the boomerang, but it could have gone both ways, really.
Look at this. Origen have set themselves up a death brush. MrRallez is pushed very comfortably here. Amazing, though, kind of gives the gig up.
Gives it up before anybody was even close enough.
Whoa. Hybrid steps right up, but MrRallez immediately nopes out of that fight.
Hybrid couldn't get the auto to follow. If Hybrid was just a little closer, would have got the auto, got the first proc, hits the Q, and in comes the follow-up onto MrRallez, but wasn't able to close it. MrRallez still had his summoners as well, so he was fine, but I can see what Origen were looking for there. Toaster has been on wave clear duty predominantly for the entire game. Hasn't had too much to do yet. No real ultimate usage. Origen not trying to force any plays.
No, they want to buy some time. Does take a little while. We'll see how Toaster continues in this game. 36 seconds until the next dragon. It's another Ocean available. Still not quite as exciting, but you can expect with Schalke's map vision that they've secured around that pit, they will be moving in that general direction. Origen, let's see if they feel like they can take some of that back. Spotted on the ward by the red pit, find themselves a pink in the brush, and they start to wrestle a bit of control back. We're 18 minutes into this game. The gold lead hasn't grown. It's been very, very close, but Schalke still own it by a sliver.
It's only close because neither team has wanted to do anything, really. Like, this is one of the most passive games we've had in a long time. I know, right? This is just...
Yeah.
Whew,
talk about from 6-0.
Yes. I wish they measured that on... Well, I guess it's stopping speed. They actually do measure that.
Yeah, it's called pumping the brake stress.
It's braking speed. It's actually a very useful thing if you're
looking to buy a car,
yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wish they measured. I had a very dumb moment there.
It happens to us all. Trust me, on the weekly. All right, so Hybrid does not connect onto Sprattel. There is the pillar. He's able to squeeze himself through, and that's a sight we don't see as much these days. Peke in the back. Really relieved they've managed to secure an 80 carry pickup. We'll see how he performs as this game goes on. Aranea, always hashtag keep smiling.
Yeah, and Peke is still listed as a sub for the team, so we may still see the swap up come around. Talking of keep smiling, the way Aranea was kind of communicating with his players a little bit before this game was a little bit regimental for how I know Aranea. There goes the dragon over to Schalke.
He's
very animated.
That's for sure. It's might just be what Origen needs. I mean, this is a team that is very much in, I don't even know if you can call it a slump anymore. They're towards the bottom of the standings, sitting in 9th place, and they just need to get anything. They're not even on double-digit points right now, and that's such an issue. But they're looking a little cleaner in this game. I guess, admittedly, it's because they're not really opting to make any plays. They give up a dragon to Schalke, not without any semblance of a fight, but it seemed a minimal effort.
And you got to remember, this is a team that had a meteoric rise from Challenger to Worlds in one season. Yeah, Worlds.
I mean, they ran the gauntlet too, just because they didn't have any points left over.
The problem is, they're facing a situation where they're going all the way back down again, because they're in a real tough spot here when you look at their points and how they've been gathering very few over the last few weeks. And then you look at some of the competition, or at least one of the competition when it comes to teams in Challenger vying for a spot that Origen could potentially meet. And it's looking at Misfits, who are a team that are incredibly active in the early game. And Origen, with this we're not going to do anything standpoint that we've seen in this game highlighted, I don't know whether that actually hold up against that right now, because this has been an incredibly passive game so far. They have looked to do nothing to advance any kind of lead.
Yeah, and Schalke have been pretty happy with just maintaining that 1,000 and some change gold lead themselves. So, I mean, there's plenty of time left to play. Schalke's in it, so it's very appropriate that we may see 90 minutes. No, unfortunately, there's no halftime, so you're going to have to bear with me here. I was going to
say, we've seen enough 90 minutes from sports recently.
The Euro's over, Stress.
I know.
You have to accept it.
We made semis.
Hold on. Things just broke wide open. Gilius is going to get caught up by Amazing, but they've turned around, and they're bringing everybody to the party. Steve is the one they're going to target, but Gilius takes down Hybrid. Soaz Amazing, uncertain of what to do, and Toaster gets popped by MrRallez in the back line. Steve picks up Amazing, and just like that, it is none for 3.
Oh, Schalke managed to turn it back around. They got the TP coming in from Steve. Stand United did come from Soaz. PowerOfEvil wants to kind of clean this up, but 3 kills, and we're so, far into this game with the first sniff of any kind of team fight. Schalke are like, ooh, do we want to do the Baron? They kind of think twice about it because they look at the minions in the top side, and they want to take mid-tower instead, try and shove PowerOfEvil back. They didn't feel quite strong enough against the Azir to take the Baron.
Yeah, didn't fully commit to any one objective, and uncertainty seemed to be what sunk Origen on that play as well. Nonetheless, Schalke will start to grow their lead. It's a little over 2,000 now, and let's see how this started with Sprattel in the brush.
Yeah, the attempt to take out Sprattel and maybe collapse on Gilius means Toaster was on the wrong side here. Amazing got the stand United through, but Soaz just couldn't quite do enough there. Gilius had already taken out Hybrid, and from here the damage follow-up comes through as Fox arrives with MrRallez and gets butted away at that point. Schalke managed to get themselves 3 kills from that exchange.
Schalke definitely looking like the crispier ones so far. Toaster will have his work cut out for him as he gets caught up by the pillar, flashing away. Hybrid stands in front of him. And Amazing is coming around the side, but Schalke seem emboldened right now. At least in order to try and force them away from this Baron, but it's only 23 minutes. They need a lot more damage if they want to take this down in a hurry. Origen are still standing firm, but Amazing gets caught. The pillar's there. Rallis takes him out, and Steve Gnar's Hybrid against the wall. Not so unbreakable now. Gilius will polish him off, and that is definitely mid-turret.
And this has been the waiting game from Schalke. They just wanted a second item on the Viktor. Get Lucian to 2 items, get Gnar to 2 items, and oh, suddenly our team composition comes completely online and we can fight against everything Origen want to do. And Origen have just sat back for the majority of it and allowed Schalke to get there, never looking for another play. And Schalke didn't have to do anything either. They've just got 2 back-to-back fights and Schalke will take down the Baron.
Soaz might be on the bottom side trying to get something back for his team, but Schalke secure themselves Baron, and they can start pushing these waves with a little more gusto going forward for the next few minutes. 24 we've just hit into this game, and it is a 6K gold lead for Schalke 04.
I'm glad we've actually finally started seeing some action, though. It's certainly a pick-me-up on this game, as Toaster finally gets himself a CS lead. He got it.
I mean, I guess you got to take the victories where you can get them, Stress.
I'm trying to lighten the mood slightly. I've been quite down on this one. I recognize that. I know a lot of Origen fans will think that, oh, you know, it's doom and gloom from Stress right now. We'll try and give it some gusto on where they're getting their leads. But I'll be honest, Origen right now, I guess they haven't been rolled over, but Schalke are getting that.
Hey, man, don't stress it. It's all right.
Please don't ever make that joke.
That's okay. I get to have the fun. All right. So the bright spot, though, is that, as you said, they haven't been rolled over. They're not like losing a massive amount. That was one bad fight, but they can still hold here. They still have the tools to do it. PowerOfEvil has still pushed them back when they haven't lost a bunch of members in close succession. He has been holding the line against 1, 2, potentially 3 people. But Schalke now are on the offensive. They're going to try to push in for these final turrets, and it's going to be hard for Origen to hold this and try to capitalize on an overstepping that Schalke just haven't been keen on making. This tower's going down. Yeah,
this is the Baron buff at work here again. Schalke able to push fairly freely through Origen's side. Culling comes out, it's going to get mostly blocked up, mostly just chunked from Soaz is able to body block the majority of it, but it's going to likely be a bunch of turrets going over. There's a big stack in the bottom wave that isn't going to be addressed yet because there's nobody there to push it through, but Soaz is going down there. Will absorb some of that experience, but Toaster, ooh.
Okay, he's on the hunt in reverse. Won't take any more damage. The death lasers are really starting to live up to their name, though. That is a lot of damage, and Schalke are still looking to push this in. Hybrid is thrown on the shield. Soaz comes in, taunt is evaded. And it's damage control mode. Steve, meanwhile, gets free time on the mid.
Easy turret push for Steve mid lane as is Gnar. Not really going to get deterred by Azir. And slowly but surely, Origen are just getting pushed all the way back. And Schalke have them firmly in their base now.
Gilius is going to have to back out for just a moment. He's a little low on the health bar, but so is this tower. Amazing looking to come in. Ghostblade, though, was popped by MrRallez. He's getting the extra speed boost. This is going to be yet another tower, and they turn on the fight. Chaos Storm in there, zoning the rest of them away, but Fox, he's gone a bit low. Summoner heal has to be used. Hybrid, though, is going low as well. They finally will finish off Fox, but there's a double channel. Amazing, very low. Toaster, very low. Soaz secures the kill under MrRallez. Gilius, they shut them all down, and they managed to capitalize on the over-aggro from Schalke.
Yeah, Schalke couldn't quite get the inhibitor. Maybe that's what Origen needed to turn this game around slightly, but they are still well up against it. And Origen right now, backs against the wall. Only roughly 2 items on each player, and on the other side, Schalke have basically crested 3 items apiece. Such a big advantage for them. Gives them so much more fighting power. The only person on Origen that has any real strength in this game for now is Amazing.
it is still going to be a big hole to climb out of, and even further if Hybrid gets caught. No, he's able to put the ward down and walk away. But yeah, they bought a little bit of breathing room. Maybe they can secure this Cloud Dragon, but it's not going to mean as much for them. Really hoping for more of an Infernal Mountain type. It just isn't going to be enough at the time. And this could even be contested by Schalke. Origen are making a risky play here.
Yeah, well, it's risky to be around a Cloud Drake as well for this. Like, why do we need to fight for a Cloud Drake? No point. If it's Infernal, maybe you rush it down, try and pull the 50-50. Doesn't really matter about the Cloud, and it's gone. Origen going to get backed away to their base now. So Schalke no Baron means they can't continue to make this push. But let's see where it kind of went wrong for Schalke here. They lost a whole bunch of players. Toaster didn't quite connect with the damage initially, and it was Gilius then going super aggressive after Fox got tagged down and taken out of the fight.
MrRallez thought he had Hybrid and Amazing, and then he dashes in just too much. Oof. PowerOfEvil lives after this too. Steve nearly polished him off. It was kind of a game of inches.
Yeah, at that point it was Schalke, as you said, MrRallez dashing in thinking he could pick up the kill and keep moving forward. So Schalke just a little bit of an overreach and will turn back the aggression, turn it back on. Still have a lead. The Dragons aren't playing too much in effect to this, as it's only Ocean and Cloud, but Schalke still have themselves, third one coming up.
Start to add up a little bit more. But the really important buff in this game is going to be the Baron. Yep. It's 2 minutes away, as you can see on the top left. Schalke have been very slow, very methodical about this, but they've continued to grow the gold lead despite the over-aggro in the base a few minutes ago. They're definitely looking on track to close this one out, and Origen are very much in damage control mode, trying to shove back this powerful squad.
Yeah, however Lucian's top lane.
Oh, amazing. He's going to go a little bit late on popping the Ragnarok, and he uses it to get away. Lucian's top, Steve is bottom.
Yeah, Origen can't even take advantage of Schalke having two players not in position to respond effectively enough, and now Origen have to back themselves away. They didn't want to take the fight and put everything into the middle lane despite having the numbers advantage, and Steve would have been able to TP, but MrRallez was never going to get there in time.
Fundisk will demolish itself. Origen still trying to hang on here, but Schalke, they're content just pushing it in slowly, time and time again. Yeah. Poke and prod and find an opening to get into this game and close it out.
Pyra, I know you're not an MMA fan, but this is very akin to one of the UFC 200 fights, Cormier versus Anderson Silva, where Cormier, all he had to do was just keep Silva down and he'd win by a decision on points. And that's exactly what this is. Schalke are just slowly grinding Origen out.
Technical victory is the best kind, though.
Well, I mean, Schalke right now is just going to hold him down. It's not pretty, it's not exciting, it's not fast, but Schalke are just going to wear them down for the next Baron. If Origen can get a steal, if Origen can just somehow turn this one around, maybe there's a chance. But if this next Baron goes over to Schalke, it's basically the game is done. Yeah,
Schalke really hoping for this grind out right now. Origen, anything they can get back in this game, it is looking to be desperation mode for them. They might be able to get a push onto this tower. The minion wave's coming in, and Sprattel is going to be able to back freely. No, he stops it right now, and he might be able to push them back. This tower is still very healthy. Origen need a golden fusion badly.
Yeah, they need it from somewhere, but they just can't get any. They still have, even this gold lead is extended by a couple of hundred, with Origen just trying to hold on.
Yeah, and that's just, honestly, it's just interest at this point for Schalke. Uh-oh, amazing he's caught. Okay, he's going to be able to get away. He doesn't need Ghost Summoner spell, wasn't up anyways. And yeah, it's just getting harder and harder for Origen to do anything. And this is the indecision that has plagued them this split. You can blame it on the team just kind of, being in a state of flux, looking for a new AD carry and all of this. But at what point something has to give? Schalke are looking to make that something Baron. Can Origen pull this trigger? It's already down to 6,000.
Now, it looks like it's gone. Look, Amazing doesn't even want to contest. He's behind Braum. It's gone. This Schalke team is just going to now push Origen, and as long as Schalke don't overextend, that's basically the game. Like, if they don't make the same mistake at the inhibitor, it's going to be a very, very tough game to topple. PowerOfEvil on this Azir, well farmed, may somehow, with the perfect team fight, be able to get damage out, but it's such a tough, tough ask.
Yeah, we haven't actually talked about the individual, farming the gold as much this game, but it just hasn't been so much a feature. It's Schalke as a team just being able to find the openings and push in, but not too far 9 times out of 10. Origen, it's hard to combat this, but you have to be able to pull the trigger earlier on, and that's something that you have to start thinking about for game number 2. Aranea has to be talking to the team saying, guys, you need to be more decisive. I mean, it's a rough thing for Toaster to come into and be expected to go off right away, but
yeah.
I mean, you might want to start seeing some different picks and bans. This comp didn't really enable them to do as much in the early game as well.
And honestly, I don't really feel like it's Toaster's fault as much as it is the team not having a leader. I mean, Origen have been used to Peke, calling some of the engages, some of the team play. That's everything Peke was strong for. And Toaster has none of that experience, and I do not mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean, you have plucked somebody that hasn't even played in Challenger Series, that is mechanically gifted into a lineup that has had very little direction for when it comes to team play, and you're expecting him to play at the same kind of level. It's no wonder that Origen have made almost no plays on the map without Amazing being the one to call them.
Yeah, they've definitely not lacked for individual talent, but direction is always the issue here. Now Schalke looking to push in, try and go for this endgame. We're 33 minutes into it. Hybrid does get caught. The Azir is commanding all the soldiers to try and clear the waves away, but there goes the gravity field on down. Meanwhile, down bottom, Steve and Soaz continue to duke it out. The Fun Disc comes in, and that will be the end of that push, but Steve is nearly on Gnar. They keep on pushing, turning their attention back towards the mid, chipping away as much as they can.
They're getting stalled out, though, for now. Origen look like they want to go. Amazing's
okay, there
going.
is a repel up. They've caught Sprattel. MrRallez is around the side. That is actually a decent bit of damage, and Gnar is close to running out for Steve. You can see OG not wanting to step too far forward and get caught out of position. There goes the Chaos Storm onto Soaz, onto Hybrid. Will it be enough? In comes the Glacial Fissure. They knock up Gilius, but they've run out of damage, and Hybrid has to burn his flash to get away from the damage. Back to Fountain before he can get back into this fight. Sprattel's still holding, and they have run out of steam. This is going to be the inhibitor tower for Schalke.
They're staying for the inhibitor as well, though. Toaster isn't quite back from base. Could be overstaying for the second inhib if they look for it, but looks like they want to back themselves out. PowerOfEvil still has his ult.
There's some good chunk, but there was a massive Lucian calling. Soaz goes in, flash taunts, finds Sprattel and Steve, but Gnar is nearly back up, and Soaz goes down. Gilius gets the kill. They answer back onto him as well. PowerOfEvil will pick that one up, and Origen are not going to give this up without a fight.
Ooh. Big damage. Steve's still looking for the engage.
They've got nothing left, though. Hybrid, he's trying to get out of there, but that will just not be enough. Fox takes him out with a death laser pop.
Gets that aftershock, and now Schalke are looking for the next inhibitor. 2 people still down from Origen for another 30 seconds, but there is damage here. Toaster and PowerOfEvil are still alive.
You said it yourself. The action hasn't been exactly every stage of this game, but it has been brutal to watch. Schalke are looking to end it right here as Toaster goes in for a Fox. He's a brave little Toaster. Will it be enough to turn their fortunes around? Flashing in,
gets the
double
ricochet
kill onto MrRallez. This might be what they're hoping for.
Oh, can't quite slow Sprattel. Can't quite get the damage down either from that Q. And man, Schalke, they get pushed back again, overstaying. Origen are looking to draw this game later and later.
They're not done yet. Soaz was on the chase here, but with Steve back in Gnar, gets the speed boost, able to get out of harm's way. OG still looking to chase it down, but the death timers aren't quite that long. 25 seconds, 30 on MrRallez. Will this be the moment they finally are able to skill the mid-tier turret?
Whew, this might be one of the latest mid-tier 1 turrets we've seen. Look at the damage that still comes from PowerOfEvil. You've got to kind of respect that at all times. Schalke, though, go back aggressive from this, and you can see tower has fallen. Somebody else is dead.
Yeah, Gilius, well, they managed to pick him up. Toaster. Okay, well, it only took 36 minutes, but he's certainly popped off. Now it's going to be tower number 2 in the mid. Origen are revitalized. All of a sudden, they take another one. The gold starts flowing.
And it's all from the mistake that comes out from Schalke. They overstayed twice in the top side of the map. Now they're going to get pushed back slightly.
Ooh, full channel culling. Hybrid face tanks that one. Gnar's out. That should spell the end of that push for Origen. Amazing. Walks away from the trophy.
There's not a trophy in sight for them for this split, unfortunately, Pyra. But
ooh, that I thought this game was brutal. But
no,
man,
I'm sorry.
Savage.
Right now, at least, there's another 2 weeks. Maybe if they get back-to-back 2-0s time and time again. But that would be certainly running the gauntlet more so than the one that got into Worlds.
Origen they are sitting on a lot of points. It is worth noting that this is a team that secured second place in the spring split, but it looked like a very different squad ever since then. Let's take a look at this push again. Great taunt from Soaz, and Gilius just gets stomped on.
Yeah, easy to squish him down after taking that taunt, and then tower falls. Origen back in this. I mean, stranger things have happened, Pyra.
Yeah.
Considering there was literally nothing happening in the first 20 minutes, Origen have dragged this game to 37.
Well, we have seen them definitely get into their element when they play in some of these longer games. We could be in for another. It's 9-9 in kills, 37.5 minutes. Baron's up in a minute. That gold has started to change a lot. Look at the items being picked up across the board. Really liking what Soaz and Hybrid are able to do here. They're pushing back, and even with the downed inhibitor, they're still able to push some waves. Schalke had to be slapping themselves and thinking, what the hell just happened?
Again, more just these mistakes, the over-pushing attempts. Schalke had already got one in him. You can back away, you can look to reset and try and push the second again, but that's Schalke's first 2 Barons have not resulted in a game win for them in this game 1 of this series. Now it's Origen that are pushing Schalke continually back, despite mid-inhibitor being down. Gilius could be caught here again.
Yeah, he's got to go up, he's got to go down. So as they're going to back away after the culling is channeled out, 15 seconds still on this Baron to spawn, but Origen are controlling the pace right now. Fundus comes up, Steve with the Guardian Angel, hoping he doesn't get popped down anytime soon, but they just keep the counter pressure on to stop the super minion waves from doing any damage.
Schalke can't quite get Steve around the side of the fight, but he does have flash. Good ward out from Origen to keep an eye on the side flank, for at least the left side flank at that point. But Origen will pull up into the jungle, try and maybe punish Steve for being top. He's building Mega Gnar though.
Yeah, and he does have Guardian Angel. They'd have to kill him twice. That's plenty of time for Schalke to come and mess up their days, but the Baron has now hit the rift. They'd have to clear through the pink ward, but it's pretty obvious at this point what's going on. Schalke are going to have to respond. Mega Gnar is running out. This is not the optimal situation. They've got to go for the 50-50. Can they get it? No! Smited down by Amazing. This is Origen's time to shine. In goes Steve. They've already taken out Gilius now. Hybrid a little bit low. Schalke pulled the wrong trigger, and they've lost one already. Still trying to fight this out. Big pulling comes out, and Soaz is going to body block for Hybrid. MrRallez hesitating. Origen are going to walk away from this.
With the Baron, they're going to walk away from it with Pyra, and this has been one of the most surprising last 15 minutes, because look, Origen now have the Baron buff, and they're pushing their way through the top side. They should be able to get the inhibitor here, because unless MrRallez pushes forward, they can't clear this out effectively enough.
Oh, they've got the damage for it, that's for sure. Hybrid might be a bit low here, but there's nothing they can get done.
Watch
Fox
the
is
Fox.
caught. In goes Soaz, the Chaos Storm's down, but it's not enough damage. Soaz picks up the kill. It's onto the inhibitor for Origen. Steve is about to get Mega Gnar, but he's taunted before the channel can finish. He's gonna be Guardian Angeled, and they're gonna turn their attention right for him. A little bit late on the timer for Hybrid, but that will be the downed inhibitor. 40 minutes, this is anyone's game.
Well, it's Origen's game right now, Pyra. They're looking to push in for the win.
Ignoring the bottom lane with the minions there, it's not going to be nearly enough. Gilius is going to get popped by power. MrRallez running back to Fountain. Will this be the turnaround? I think so. One Nexus turret falls. Origen come alive. And the end of this game, 2 kills for PowerOfEvil. They look for more. Another Nexus turret will fall. And just shy of 41 minutes, Origen pull the comeback.
How did they get a win in this game? For Origen, a big win considering how this game started for them. Origen managed to hold the nerve, turtle up, and turn this game around. Schalke with the overpush twice to get repelled back from the Origen base, but
No kidding.
that is a massive win for Origen and a massive blunder from Schalke.
Yeah, you're going to have to call them Schalke no Fumf at this point. They've lost 5 in a row, and it is indecision. Just like we were talking about for Origen, this is indecision from Schalke. This is going a little too deep and not realizing when you can get that 50-50 on. Gilius goes in a little too early. I mean, it was obviously it started turning in their favor after the big dives, and it was so impressive from Origen when they actually turned it around.
And there's just some fairly basic principles in there that go wrong for Schalke towards the end of that. You're half health, and you stay against an Azir who's defending, you get mid lane turret and look to transition to top lane, and you stick around with like an Azir and 2 other champions to keep themselves alive. Schalke can back away from that situation with some of their Baron buff left, come back for top lane and look to push through. But they overpush on the first inhib, dive, MrRallez doesn't quite get the kill, he, Gilius, and Fox all die from that scenario, and the Azir punishes them. And just that happened twice in a row for Schalke, and then Schalke just regressed all the way back. Gilius gets caught twice, and from there, Schalke can't maintain their lead and hold it to win the game.
Yeah, and apparently we learned something today. It takes about 36 minutes before your toast can be finished. So well played from Origen. Now we're going to go ahead and check